Hey everyone, and welcome to our first episode of Fireside Chats. This is a weekly Zoom call where we catch up with wedding and event professionals about what is happening in our industry. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Christina Fraser. I'm the Assistant Museum Director of Events and Rentals at the Ringling Museum.
Hey there, Suzanne Neve. I'm the CEO for the Florida Festivals and Events Association.
Hi, Nicole, Kaney, owner of NK Productions Wedding Planning.
Awesome. So thanks you guys for joining me. I wanted to do this you're all event planners, but kind of in different capacities with an organization, an individual company, and a statewide museum. So I thought it'd be good to get together and get your perspectives on what's going on, where your businesses are at, and just find out, what you're planning upcoming. So, Christina, if you want to start.
Sure. Right now we're trying a lot of the virtual approaches for what we had to cancel over the last few months. And that worked out well, but I also think now we're really into almost some sort of virtual overload for a lot of people from an event standpoint. So our events really were focusing more on our members and making sure that we're keeping them engaged. So that has actually worked out really well. We've had a lot more intimate approaches and actually really good feedback from the members who got to participate in that. But now we're really starting to gear up a focus on what our future looks like. So we're looking at our museum events that we would put out there to the community in the fall, and seeing how we're going to plan those. So right now we're really looking at everything in multiple levels. So every event has at least 3 different phases of planning based on where we're at and what we could see at that time and how we'll handle it. So we could be ready to pull any of those plans as we get closer, because we really don't know. Everything seems so up in the air. So that's how we are focusing on one element of our events, but we're also looking on our rentals because we also have rental venues. And that's been interesting, but I can say we get a lot of inquiries. Nicole, I'm sure you might be getting the same. A lot of spring inquiries. So we've actually contracted quite a few rentals during this time. We're doing virtual rental tours now. So we're allowed to have 1 staff person on property. So our rental coordinators now basically taking Zoom or FaceTime and going through the key venues to discuss and answer questions. So we're trying to be really creative, but also just really keeping our eyes open as the future keeps changing.
Great. When is the next actual in-person either rental or museum event that you guys have scheduled?
Well, we have stuff as early as September, and that's where we're watching, but a lot of those are also based on engaging college students. So we're also watching the plans with the colleges and how they are planning to open up. So either way, our Ringling Underground event would normally attract 900 or more guests. We know that's not going to happen regardless, however our approach is. So now we're looking for unique ways of engaging that group, maybe providing stuff to students. But if schools actually go online, our student population in our area won't be there. So we are really trying to plan more for the spring and looking more for smaller events for the fall. So we are looking at a lot of different approaches where if we can have different things that are 50 guests or less on property. That way we can have stuff spread out. We have 66 acres, and that outdoor space actually is to our advantage right now. So a lot of our approaches are working with our theater departments or performance curators to find different ways of engaging in a way that we may not have, as well as all the best practices for safety.
Great. Suzanne, how about Florida Festival and Events Association? What are you hearing from your members, and how are you guys going forward with your own events?
So our approach has been very similar to Christina's in the sense that we are a membership-based association. So first and foremost, we are trying to do everything we can to provide value to our members, to act as a resource to them, to keep them engaged virtually when possible, but also just to try to keep them up to date on what's going on. I think one of our biggest challenges that we're seeing is the inconsistency throughout the state, because we are a statewide organization in the sense that, some cities shut down earlier than others. Some are coming back on earlier than others. So for us to try to kind of set a standard as an organization and for our cities is pretty much impossible at this point. So we're just trying to advise and keep them, up to date, stay ourselves as up to date on how things are tracking in terms of recommendations and best practices and what we're seeing in terms of trends. Obviously festivals are probably going to be one of the last things to come online, the larger scale festivals anyway. So we're trying to help our members look at hybrid approaches, looking at making changes to existing events. We hope we can have festivals back online by spring. Most of our spring festivals are planning on moving forward. It's the late summer, fall ones that are really kind of in question right now. And again, just the lack of uncertainty. We're all planners, so it's very challenging for us right now not to have a plan or be planning something. So I think that has been the hardest part for everyone, myself included. In terms of events that we produce, most of our in-person events are smaller scale, less than 50 people. For the time being, we've pivoted everything to virtual. We are looking at bringing back in-person events in the fall for person-to-person. Because they are under 50. Our annual conference is scheduled for the end of August. We typically have 300 to 400 people at that conference. However, with the economic impact to our industry right now, we know even if we were to proceed as usual with the conference, we wouldn't have what our typical attendance would be. For today, we're still moving forward with the conference. We have a task force in place, and that task force is working along with myself on our what feels like 85 plan Bs right now for the conference. Like Christina mentioned, if this is happening, then this is the route we'll go. If this is happening, this is the route we go. The challenge with that is we need to make a decision on which one of those we're going to go to by June 1st, and in our opinion, in order to give full transparency to our attendees and our members, and in order to give us the time to be able to handle the plan. So for the time being, we're looking at, ideally a hybrid option where we have an in-person option and a virtual option for both the trade show and for our educational sessions. But our goal is to lay out what that full plan looks like by June 1st at the absolute latest.
Okay. Still gives you, 2 months.
Yeah.
Not a lot of time, I'm sure, compared to what you're used to planning, but
it's not. But I've always said one of the things that I love about our association and about event planners in general is, people would in the past say to me, it must be so hard to put on an event for event planners. And Jordan, you can probably attest to this. To me, it's the opposite, because they're very non-judgmental. They walk in and they say, what can I do to help? What do you need? And so I really feel like they're, of all people, going to be the most understanding that the event is not going to look like what it's looked like in the past. That we, should we pivot even a portion of it to virtual, that there's going to be some hiccups along the way. But I feel like they're going to be very understanding of that, and hopefully appreciative of the fact that we're trying to do something to still at least engage them and give them that, that outlet that they're looking for in terms of connecting with each other and finding the educational content that they need to move forward with their events.
Okay, awesome. Nicole, how about with you? How's all your bookings and weddings going?
So it's pretty good. We do about 75 events and weddings a year, primarily weddings. So over our last wedding was March 14th weekend at the Ringling, and it was great and amazing. And then we, from then on, have not had any of our events. So we have moved all of our clients successfully, and pretty much all vendor teams have stayed together. So that's been good. And they've moved anywhere from later summer, fall to then a year from now. So we've just been able to flip that. So that's been good and pretty smooth. We're very busy in the office because we have so many clients from fall on that are still planning and moving forward. And most of the time of the day, it's very normal conversations like we would always have. So making sure that all of our clients have their vendor teams, and a lot are home working right now. So we're able to move forward with design plans and timelines and excuse me, so much we don't need to do in person anyways, because most of our clientele is from out of town. They come into town for tastings and show tables, and that's all pre-scheduled. So there's definitely been some that we've had to move right now, but typically this is busy wedding season, event season. So we're at the event. So we do most of our tastings over the summer. So most of them we've had a few that had to get moved a little later, but for the most part, those are all starting. They'll start probably around May 15th, a little later than that. And then we'll go through summer with those. That's just small groups anyways. And then hopefully we'll be right on track for fall. That's our goal. And we do definitely still have some summer weddings that we're hopeful for, smaller ones.
Do you have any clients from the fall who have been like worried at all about this extending out or a second wave or?
I mean, I think that that's a concern for anyone who watches the news because there's been, I'm just encouraging everyone to look at the data. Florida's numbers are really positive, and I think we're in a good place, in a lot better place than we thought we would be. So that's just what I'm encouraging our clients to do.
Okay,
I
great.
think it's normal to be nervous about anything now, of course.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean,
but we're moving forward, and we, also I've done a lot of Instagram lives lately, which has been great. I think they've been really well received by clients and vendors. That, of course, there's a lot going on in the world right now, and I don't want to discount that. But I also want our future clients, which right now, like I said, we do about 75 a year. So there's probably 50 clients we have from fall on. And we want them to have a positive planning experience. They deserve that. And they deserve to enjoy the process like any other bride and groom and not feel like it's overshadowed by things that are happening right now. So we are also trying to keep it very positive for them. And we feel very hopeful. There's so much we can't control, which is very hard as a planner. We're really good. And if someone said to me, all your weddings can start in 2 weeks, we will make that happen. We will plan as fast as we can. So the unknown is definitely harder for us, but we're just trying to stay really positive.
All right, awesome. Is there anything any of you think that will be permanently changed from the situation with events going, a year or two from now, that we're still going to see something at events that we can pinpoint came from this situation?
I think sanitation, how we handle our property to keep everything clean, the additional hand sanitizers, custodial staff, extra care for the vendors as well, so they're prepared, and we may even adjust our contracts accordingly to make sure everybody has a lot of that in place, because that's going to be important for any execution of an event on property. I know, Nicole, I know you had mentioned at one point too, like the hand washing stations for the caterers behind. We actually considering we have space behind where vendors would normally load in and set up. There's a building that has brand new bathrooms right there. So the thought is we may have to have extra security just to keep that open so they have a cleaner access. So it's not just an outdoor hand washing station, but a clean, safe space for everybody to go into. So that's a lot that's coming on our radar that I think will have to be implemented through the future.
I think that's great.
All right, Nicole, are you seeing any changes in like the size of weddings? Do your future brides want to keep their weddings smaller?
So immediately, yes. We do have, I think, 4 or 5 brides over the next, this is very immediate. So within the next 4 weeks, that will be having basically from like May 16th to June time, late June. We have some brides that have gone to like the micro weddings, which we do those anyways. And I think they're really great. So they're going to have a smaller event on their actual wedding day. And we're going to make it amazing and super detailed and really, really beautiful. And then they'll have a party later on. So we have had brides shift that immediately. But from fall on, no, all those have stayed the same. In our market, and we're in Sarasota and Boca Grande, we don't see a lot of weddings that are much larger than 250 anyways, because it's a destination wedding market. We find most of our weddings are 250 and less. So we're not running into the very, very large, 800 people in a ballroom for us personally. So I haven't seen that much of a conversation yet.
What I find interesting too is we actually have had a lot of requests for elopements recently too. So with that consideration of having a small wedding and planning maybe a party later on, we've had more inquiries on that in the last few weeks than we usually would see.
Suzanne, how about with your members? Are they talking about like long-term changes for the future?
Yeah, I think one of the first things that they're working on in the now is contract language, what that looks like. You know, a lot of our members are working with larger scale brands and sponsors. And so what does that contract language look like? You know, and some of the vendor contract language. And I think that's something that will stay. Certainly for insurance purposes, a lot of that will stay as well too. The other thing that I think that a lot of our members are starting to think outside the box in terms of touch points at their events and how we can eliminate some of those touch points. So I see a lot of our ticketing companies looking into or announcing and rolling out technology that would be completely contactless. So you purchase a ticket for an event and then you don't even have even a physical person scanning your ticket. You're putting it under a machine to scan it and then you keep walking. So a lot of events looking at switching to RFID and cashless. You know, that type of changes, in addition to what Christina talked about with sanitation changes, I think those are things that we'll see stay. In addition to the option of hybrid events where there's both an in-person component and a virtual component. Even for concerts and festivals where you can buy a virtual ticket. Facebook announced today that they're rolling out an option to do a ticketed live stream where, you know, you can live stream something on Facebook, but you have to buy the ticket first. And so I think that opens up an avenue for some of our music festivals and larger concerts and whatnot as well too. So I think some of those technology changes will have the biggest long-term impact on our industry.
Great.
All great stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Like I said, the more people we can engage with as an audience, the better off we all are as organizations. Because if we're back in this situation again in the future, or something happens, then we're better off with more prepared in advance.
Well, I told you guys I didn't want to, I wanted to keep this kind of a informal and brief conversation. Is there anything before we wrap up that you just think that vendors or other people should know about what's going on in events right now?
Yeah, I'd like to stick with a positive message too. There's so much. This is hopefully just a very small snapshot of what is going to happen in our industry. And I think that there's been a lot of negativity surrounding it too. And as we are moving forward with clients, again, I keep saying I want them to enjoy that positive experience. So I think as an industry, just preaching our message to what we do, and that we're trying really, really hard to make this amazing for everyone. And we've definitely had to deal with situations right now, and we're doing the best we can with them. There's nothing we could do about that. But moving forward, I think just staying positive and very hopeful for our industry. And I think that we're going to see a lot of clients and future clients that are really excited to celebrate love and being with friends and family, and you won't ever take that for granted for sure. So I think we're going to see a lot of even more events happening in the future, and people just really hopeful for that and celebrating love, what we do best.
I would agree with Nicole. I think my board is kind of over me and my silver linings that I'm constantly reminding them of. Here comes Suzanne with another silver lining again, but just really trying to stay positive and point out, I have a good news newsletter that goes out to our members every week as well too. Just point out, obviously this is a challenging time for everyone, and there are definitely, not great things that are happening, but as much as we can stay positive and point out the good things that are happening is the best that we can do.
Yeah, I think even our big thing too is having that messaging that, we are preparing, and we know that there are the concerns, so we're addressing those to give people that peace of mind that we are taking the extra steps. So as we're moving forward, a lot of our messaging will also include that.
I think vendors have been amazing too. Because of the volume we do, we've talked to tons of vendors all over the country. And I think they've been so incredible, and everyone trying to get on the same page, do the very best we can for our clients, and also moving forward, just what we can do to make everyone feel really comfortable and know that we're doing our very best. So I have to give a big thumbs up to our industry in general. I think they've been really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate you taking the time today to do this. And hopefully you all stay safe and we can see each other soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Jordan, hi.